Welcome to the Smark Foundation podcast. I'm Aaron. This is Adam,
Yo, what's up, guys?
and we are here in our brand new studios,
So to speak.
so to speak. We've made a major upgrade to our production values, so we're gonna see if we can make this work like it should.
Yeah,
But
let's see if we can implement them. We are amateurs
yes,
learning, so let's learn.
so with that said, it's a glorious day to be back in wrestling. As usual, we remain well-fed wrestling fans. This is a nice trend that's been going on. I'm really enjoying being able to enjoy wrestling on a consistent basis, like 4 times a week.
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, we've been fans long enough where we have definitely been experiencing up and down periods. I mean, the majority of our lives, we've only had one major wrestling promotion, like since 2001 to 2019, that huge chunk of time in our lives, there was really only one option for national wrestling. I mean, you had TNA in there, and they had some good times, but they were never really like super close, like at any point in time. No matter what the most diehard fans would have you believe. Sorry, guys. And it's not to say that your fandom is invalid. It's not, but like they were never close. They were never close. AEW is close now, and they were not nearly as close as WCW was. That's a matter of fact, because at 83 different points, WCW beat WWF in the ratings, whereas AEW has been NXT, and that's it. That's not a judgment of quality. As people who have heard this podcast know, I only watch AEW. So clearly, I'm not I'm not disappointed with the product overall to the point where I would quit it. But I mean, facts are facts, man. That's all it is. You know, I hate to bring him up because I think he's a shilly grifter, but Eric Bischoff, when he says that, is right because WCW did beat WWF, and AEW has never beaten WWE and the main brand. That being said, ratings, which we rarely talk about because we don't like to, and now they barely matter because they're on the streaming, um, does not always indicate quality.
No.
And for a very, very big portion of that very, very long time between 2001, when the Attitude Era pretty much ended, and 2019, when the AEW became a thing, there were some good things, but there was a lot of filler and a lot of crap. And like, there were some really bad years. 2003 was a really bad year. 2018 or 2019 was real bad. With the exception of introducing more women to the to the main roster. 2016 was pretty bad too. Like it. I'm trying to just point out that it's been a very long time since there not only has been one major brand that's really firing on all cylinders creatively, there are two. Like, you may not like this or that storyline or anything, but the wrestling, at least, we are. If you like the art of wrestling, holy cow, this is the era for you to be a fan.
Mhm.
Holy cow! Like, I mean, Aaron and I talk about this all the time. He just reiterated a second ago. Yeah, we're well fed. Like, if you love wrestling, if you're more about the content of what happens in the squared circle than you are in the backstage interviews or what have you, the storylines, you know, well, damn, you can't really go wrong right now. You've got WWE, you've got AEW, New Japan is finally bouncing back a bit. I mean, their G1 was amazing. They had several matches on Wrestle Kingdom that were just insane. Um, you've got NXT, which is bounced back. I know it's a subsidiary, I guess, or whatever. It's still part of WWE. But we were just talking before we recorded about how there were some dark days in NXT too.
Mhm.
Uh, the 2.0 era was not good, guys. It wasn't good. Sorry, it wasn't. Um, but yeah, now pretty much everything is doing really good work. So yeah, let's be happy about that. Because man, little nitpicks aside about promoters or backstage politics or somebody's push or you don't like this guy or whatever, all that little tiny stuff aside, the overall picture for wrestling is like a gorgeous painting of a sunrise right now. And I say that because it's not midday. This is the beginning. This is not even close to the end of this boom period. I don't think. I really don't. I think we're going to be well fed for a while.
Yeah, I think so too. And even beyond the two majors, there's so many just like pick your poison. Whatever you like about wrestling, there's a fed out there that does that. And if you think about a weird combination of something that you would like to see paired with wrestling, there's a fed out there that does that. I promise. Like, yeah, the stuff I've been seeing lately, like I've been introduced to all new kinds of stuff, like a bunch of different little like indie feds that I'm like, oh, they do this specific thing. Uh, okay. Like I mean, if for the kind of people that like that kind of thing, that's cool. Like I mean, and I like a lot of it. Some of it I don't understand, but um, I haven't been unentertained by anything clips I've watched or anything. So um,
Niches within niches.
yeah, niches within but still, even the big two, the televised stuff is all big. We're getting into an era where we're going to be very quickly, I think, once SmackDown and like NXT move over to Netflix full time or a streaming service of some kind, we're going to be completely out of the ratings era. Um, Ratings will no longer matter. People will be able to be free creatively. Things will hit and miss like it always does. We have a model for what happens when someone is given complete freedom of creativity without worrying about ratings. And it's just, how Vince McMahon operated for the last 40 years. Because he put some real shit out there and made some really terrible ratings. And he also put really great stuff out there. So some things stick, some things don't. That's true in wrestling always. Your favorite promotion is going to do something you hate, and your least favorite promotion is going to do something you might like. And either way, though, it's like, it's just the best time. It's just the best time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, there is something out there for literally anybody's particular taste as long as they like wrestling in its base form.
Yeah, yeah. As long as you like the squared circle, no matter what shape it takes, because there's like four or five different shapes. But as long as you like the squared circle and what goes on in between the ropes, you will find something you love in the world of wrestling.
If you're wondering where else you can find the Smark Foundation podcast, you can stream our show on Pandora, Spotify, and nearly anywhere else you normally stream your podcasts from, including our home at rss.com. We're also on YouTube, featuring not only full episodes of our show, but individual segments from each episode for easier content digestion. For any of those outlets, just type Smark Foundation Podcast into the search bar to find us. If you'd like to interact with us directly, we're very active on our new social media home, Blue Sky. You can contact the show at smarkfndnpodcast.bsky.social for general pro wrestling or podcast comments. And if you want to get to know us each a little bit more on a personal level, Aaron's personal account is at aaronsmark.bsky.social and Adam's is at adamsmarkfndnpodcast.bsky.social. If you'd like to further support our show, you can visit our shop at smarkfoundationpodcast.printful.me to purchase various merchandise with our show's logo on it. Wear your SFP t-shirt or hoodie around town and spread the word about the show that strives to bring fans together around what's great about pro wrestling today, brought to you by a couple of everyday elder millennial wrestling fan dads. Now back to the show.
Now we'll get into our lockup for the day, which is going to be our Raw review. Um, Man, okay, so we talked about this, um how it was going to be different, how Um, like how Raw on Netflix debut on January 6th was not going to be like the next Raw, and that the
Right.
next Raw was going to go back to being like a normal Raw. And that's exactly what happened. So,
Yeah.
yay, first of all. Okay, like I'm super happy about that. This just went right back to being a regular Raw. I'm so happy that that happened. We'll get into what I may or may not have, or well, what I may not have liked about it, but overall, just from beginning to end, this is just a regular Raw, just like you would see on USA Network, just like you would see on wherever else they ever showed Raw. I don't think they ever showed it anywhere else. Uh,
Spike TV for like
oh,
three
Spike
years.
TV for like 3 years, yeah. So okay, just like any Raw you would have ever seen anywhere, it's the same. So we kick off with CM Punk, and he comes out, talking about how he beat Seth Rollins and stuff like that, and he then throws his hat in the ring. He's now declared for the Rumble. So to this point in television, we've got John Cena now and now CM Punk. There will be more names even as this show goes on. Um, and to put it all up front, we are looking at a very, very, very stacked Royal Rumble. It's going to be very difficult to call who the winner is. Because there's a thousand ways it could go already, just with the names that have declared. Um,
Those are the best ones, though.
yeah, I love those. My favorite ones. So,
92, 2001, like those, even a couple of years ago, like this more stacked they are, the better they tend
mhm.
to be.
Mm. So, so CM Punk's going on about how he sees the WrestleMania sign that's not there yet, and all that stuff. And Rollins interrupts him, and the crowd kind of sings Rollins' song, but I think they're done. I think, like I am done with CM Punk and Seth Rollins already being a thing. I think they are too. I don't think this should continue, but it looks like it's going to somehow because Seth then also says that he's entering the Rumble. So now it's Cena and Rollins and Punk. And then they are interrupted by Drew McIntyre, who says they're both basically the same asshole. And he is not wrong, folks. For those of you who love Seth Rollins and hate CM Punk and really buy into the cancer thing, let me clue you in. Seth Rollins and CM Punk are the same asshole.
That's why they hate each other so much. They're too
Is.
similar.
They're exactly alike, and that's why they hate each other. Correct. So Drew McIntyre calls him the same asshole. He says the visionary Seth Rollins is a fake leader. Punk kind of cuts him off and challenges them both to a fight. And Rollins is just like, this is what you always do. Like he's like, you want to fight, but you're not thinking ahead. It's like, but I'm thinking ahead. And so I'm going to be in the Rumble too. So now we'll add McIntyre to that Rumble list. So within like the first like 5 minutes of Raw, we've added three not insignificant names to the Royal Rumble.
Two of those have already won Royal Rumbles.
Correct. Two have won. One of them is the other one who hasn't won has definitely already been the top champion in WWE. During the time of Super Cena, I believe. So yeah, that's significant. Especially with Cena coming back, like him and Punk facing off in the Rumble is going to happen. Mark
Oh,
my
it's got
words,
to.
they're 100% going to be across the ring from one another.
They don't want to miss out on that pop. Are you
Oh,
kidding me?
not if
No
it's the last
way.
time they're going to get it. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to get all like for all of you who don't understand how this is going to work, we are going to get all the cheapest pops. We are going to get
Cheapest pops,
all the freaking
greatest hits.
nostalgia pops. We're totally 100% getting Cena's greatest hits. Don't stand in the way of those of us enjoying it because I'm going to enjoy every second of it. So we've already that's just the first segment. We've already added three names to the Rumble on top of John Cena, who are all significant. Um, so Punk, I mean, before he started his promo, he kind of gave a shout out to the people in LA and talking about how Canada and Mexico are here helping out. Our hearts go out to all the people who are affected by the LA fires. By the way, if you're listening from out,
Absolutely.
please stay
I'm
safe.
glad they found Melina.
Yeah, I'm super happy. Good news in the wrestling world. They found Melina and she's safe. So, but for those of you who are affected by that, please stay safe. Um, we only want your safety. Um, so then, I mean, they kind of just had their thing. They did their thing. That was it. A lot of big names going into the Rumble. Nice, exciting first quarter. We come back from, uh, we come back from commercial. And immediately here comes Chad Gable and American Made, which means it is time for what Michael Cole literally said on his commentary, the worst kept secret in wrestling. And it's Penta's debut against Chad Gable. Let me let you in on something, folks. I love Penta. I am a Penta stan. This was a crap debut for him.
Really?
I didn't like it at all. Okay, here's the deal.
Oh no.
Here's the problem with what I did. And now there's a lot of people out there that are going to be like, that was a great debut. After the match, when he had his promo that he did half in like as much about as much English as he knows, and the other half in Spanish with the crying fan, like his family was ringside and bawling because obviously this is a big deal. He's made his WWE debut and stuff. Um, in San Jose, California, which is like a traditionally, Mexican area of the country. Um, he's like the promo after was moving and wonderful, and that made a lot of people forget about the match. And the match made Chad Gable look like $1 million and made Penta look like shit. And it's not because Chad wasn't trying to make him look good. It's because Penta was doing stuff that maybe he should have tested out in a WWE ring before he tried to do them.
That happens a lot with luchadors. I think that was one of the big downfalls of Sin Cara.
Yeah, I believe.
Was like, I don't know if it's the style or the ring itself, or they just didn't have enough time to like rehearse them, because they rehearse. Like
Yeah.
they don't do like the full thing, but they do like spots and stuff. I'm wondering if maybe they just didn't, between that and the language barriers, they just don't generally give these, specifically the foreign folks, the foreign professional wrestlers who don't speak English natively, enough time to be able to communicate what they want to do.
Mhm.
I mean, because you see this happen over and over again.
Yeah. I think in this case, it was a lot of rope tension issues. He tried to do like that bottom rope
Yeah,
leg drop and
yeah,
sat on the bottom rope and it basically just sat him down on the mat and didn't give him any spring. And he like
that
kind of
that
rolled.
makes the most sense because he's wrestled in the United States for years now, so it can't be like a communication thing.
Uh,
It's got it.
it's
I
a
think you're
cable
right. It was
rope
probably
issue. It's a
yeah.
versus cable issue because AEW uses cables and WWE
Hmm.
ropes.
Yeah, I think they're the only ones who use actual
They
ropes,
are
right?
the only ones who use actual ropes that I know of. Every promotion I've ever worked for uses cable.
Mm.
Even like the old like sportatorium rings that I've worked in from like the WCCW days are cable with like and it's wrapped with duct tape to look like rope, like with some
Right.
like it's like foam over cable, and they wrap it with duct tape and it makes it look like rope, but it's not rope. It's cable. It's elevator cable. Um, but yeah, WWE uses actual rope, and I think I don't. I guess he didn't have enough time in the ring first, that during the day or whatever. Um, is this going to kill Penta? No, no. God, the guy sold like $1 million worth of merchandise. There were so many like Penta masks in the crowd, and I mean, there were definitely older ones from AEW, like the Joker Penta and stuff like that. They had a lot of those, but there were a ton of people wearing his new samurai mask with the removable face and stuff. Like there was so many people wearing that thing. He sold a couple $1 million of merchandise from my understanding. So is one bad match going to kill Penta? No. Did the promo after save it to where a lot of people forgot how bad the match was? Yeah, I did in the moment because in the moment I was moved as a Mexican American. I was moved. So um it was a good and bad debut. Did Chad Gable work his ass off and look good and try like hell to make Penta look good? Hell yeah, love Chad Gable.
Of course
Uh,
you did.
I
That's who
don't.
Chad is. He's got a lot of integrity.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever say too much bad about Chad Gable. He's good at being an asshole, which is what he's being right now. He's got a good stable of wrestlers. I really wish that they would let Ivy Nile and the Creed kids wrestle more because they're all very good. But I don't say a lot bad about Chad Gable because he does go in there and tries like hell to make you look good, even despite yourself sometimes. Um, so yeah, moving on, Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser was a pretty good match. I mean, it was. I don't think it was actually the normal level of banger that Sheamus puts on. I mean, for being the guy who puts on bangers. But Braun Breaker kind of came out afterwards, and him and Sheamus. It looks like him and Sheamus are going to keep going with this Intercontinental title thing. I really want Sheamus to win the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. It is the only title that's eluded him. So I think that might be where we're headed. By the look of the booking, that is where we're headed. But will WWE pull the trigger on it earlier, like at like Mania or at like Rumble or Elimination Chamber? Probably. WWE bungles things like this. They have a history of denying people their moment. You know, as much
I
as they
don't
give
know.
people their moment, they do have a history of denying people their moment, especially in front of their own crowd.
I
So
don't know. I see them putting Breaker in the Rumble, so I don't think he's going to defend the belt at Rumble.
I hope that's how it works.
I mean, I think that a guy that's as exciting as he is and explosive as he is could have a really good showing in a Royal Rumble, especially if they put somebody like Goldberg in there who also does a spear. Like they could have like a little moment or something like that. I don't know. I feel like he'd probably bet. I mean, now that these cards have two Royal Rumble matches on them, there's not that much room on the show for other stuff. Do you really think they're going to put an Intercontinental title match on there? I don't think so. I think they're going to put one or both of them in the Rumble. And if you want to move this thing along, I would put both of them in there, have them have a spot, have Sheamus be the one to eliminate him, and have that uh, justify him getting the title shot.
Sure. I mean, I hope that's the way it works out. That sounds good to me, actually. Um,
Sometimes the simplest stuff is what works, like what
so
works best.
so last week on Raw, after Rhea beat Liv, Dom tried to like come in the ring and hug her and like ask for forgiveness and stuff, and she took him to Dick Kick City and then gave him a riptide, which is all glorious. I love it. Um, this week they go back to the Judgment Day, and of course I'm already groaning because sorry guys, I don't like the Judgment Day. What do you want? Um, but this week, like he's trying to apologize. She's being very dismissive of him. He's about to go back to being a simp, basically, is what it looks like. At least until she makes him go away or whatever. But amongst that, the two of them having a rift in their relationship, we've Finn and JD and Carlito and everybody's kind of milling around, and they're all acting like they hate each other. I normally would be praising the Lord that this is the end of the judgment day and finally, and I don't have to say these negative things every week. But I somehow think that that's somehow going to be bungled and we're going to have to live with them for like 4 more months at least. So it looks like we might be getting inklings that the judgment day is going to break up, but that happened before. Finn totally betrayed Damien and we still had judgment day. So I don't know how they're going to do this.
I mean, I mean, what I would like to see. I mean, I wouldn't watch, but what I would like to see, just for the sake of maybe just for one show, maybe have like the last gasp of the Judgment Day. See uh, Dominic try to plead with Finn, be like, come on, let's do this. Let's make one more run at the tag belts, you and me, and then manage to finagle himself a tag team title shot. And they're walking to the ring for their title match, and he'll have said, yeah, I even came up with a name for us. Just wait until you get there. It'll be great. The ring announcer is Lillian, right? Lillian came back, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That makes it even better because I want to hear this come out of her mouth because it'll be funny as hell. Be like, and Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio, Finn Dom,
Oh God.
and have have Finn just like bug eye, like what, and then just completely get out of there, just abandon Dominic to get completely crushed by the champions, and then have that be the absolute end of it. I
Oh,
think that would be hysterically fun.
fantastic. In other news of factions that I don't like, and we talked a couple weeks ago about why I don't really like factions, or why I think there's too many. Pure Fusion Collective is there doing an interview. Zoe Stark says she's going to win the women's intercontinental title from whoever wins it, and then Sonya has to like step in and be like, "No, one of us will win it." So it looks like there might be some tension there already between them. Good. I hate your name, and I don't like your stable. So let's get rid of that, please. Post haste, expeditiously, Mister Triple H, sir.
I don't mind the gimmick behind the reasoning behind the stable. They're all like MMA fighter types. I get that. That might as well make a state. It's like a fight club.
Mhm.
I get that. That's fine. Yeah, the name sucks. It's the worst.
It's
It
just
is
the
the
name. They could
worst.
break up Pure Fusion Collective this week, bring them back next week, and just call them something else. I'd buy it.
You know what? You know what I would do? I would reuse the name that I wanted to use when they tried to. You remember when they brought in the women's revolution and they brought up what would be known as team what was it PKB,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, Paige, Becky, and Paige, Charlotte, yeah, PCB, Paige, Charlotte, and Becky, and they had to call themselves that because they originally called themselves the Submission Sorority, which is a great name.
It is.
But unfortunately, it was all already taken apparently by an adult website. So when you were to Google that, it wouldn't redirect you to where they wanted you to be redirected. So that was what they came up with. I thought that rename was stupid. The fact that they had to rename it, I understand. But you call yourself, you want to keep with the sorority theme, you want to keep with the submission theme, just name yourself like a sorority with Greek letters. Tau Alpha Rho. That's TAP. Tap.
Perfect.
Perfect, right? Just use that idea and rename these ladies that, and it'll be just as good on them as it would have been on Paige, Becky, and Charlotte.
Yeah. So after that, we have Gunther promo. He comes out. He's talking about everybody basically not being as good as he is. That's what he does. And Jay Uso interrupted him. But Gunther said, see, he basically okay. So he said, "I know what you're capable of, and it's a whole lot less than what I'm capable of." He's like, "And I'm going to expose you for what you really are, a really, really talented tag team wrestler."
There's nothing wrong with that, by the way.
He's like, "To you, main event is a nickname. To me, it's where I belong." And then Jey Uso was like, he got pissed off, of course, and he tries to hit Gunther. Gunther bails. And he gets on the mic and he's like, "On Saturday night's main event, you're going to respect me when I beat that ass and become world heavyweight champion." So that's what we got. We got Uso versus Gunther at Saturday night's main event, which
When is that?
that is the 25th. That's 6 days. So that's Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, they're doing these close together now. They
They
used to do
are.
them real far apart.
Yeah.
Huh,
Um,
cool.
then we had just a couple other things that I really liked. I mean, I've talked about the stuff I didn't like. Judgment Day, PFC. That's pretty much it. Um, Rhea Ripley had a promo, and she was interrupted by Nia, so it looks like we might get Nia and Rhea. I'm not really into that. I kind of want Nia to go away for a little bit. But it wasn't a bad promo, and they usually have pretty good fights. They don't really call them matches because Nia really hits people. So they usually have pretty good fights. Sami Zayn wrestled The Miz after The Miz mouthed off to him earlier in the night. Um, Zayn basically just delivered him an ass whooping. I mean, Miz kind of got squashed. But Sami Zayn did win with a Blue Thunder Bomb, which hasn't happened recently that much. So we got to win.
Simon Miller will be incredibly
He
surprised.
was.
Or I
I
bet he
watched
was anyway.
the next day and he was ecstatic. Let me tell you.
New
Um,
year, new me, asshole.
right. And then we had the Women's Intercontinental Championship match. It did not get the time it deserved. It was like sub 9 minutes, I think. But it was gnarly. Dakota Kai got like, oh, she got like head and arm suplexed um off the apron onto the floor, like release, just boom, like, and it looked nasty.
Ugh.
Um, really good match. They both went really hard with each other. Like you could tell that they were, doing it, really putting their all in there. Despite one of them knowing that they weren't going to win this match. And Lyra Valkyria wins. So Lyra Valkyria is our very first Intercontinental Women's Champion, and that's a big old up.
Good for her.
Just them having more women on all that says to me is that there's going to be more women on the show. Um, so good. Raw was really good. It moved really fast. They went about 2.5 hours. Um, but it was just the right amount of time. It was good.
Time, because
Yeah.
yeah, like with it being on streaming, having like a set time necessarily. I was wondering how long they were going to have them go. So
Yeah. But it was good. It was a good show. All over. I mean, we got a lot of really good announcements for the Rumble. We got some good kind of moving forward stuff. Uh, but other than that, it was good. So I think we're able to move on to the shine.
all right, all right, all right.